to me that evil is present, evil is active, and only Christ can save us. And I don't think I'm alone in this. Barna research shows that millennial church attendance has nearly doubled since 2019. My early college years were full of me mocking Christianity. I thought I was brilliant. I came up with a fake religion at one point, revolving around Pixie the pony, a magical pony. And if you drank enough green tea through your life, you'd forever live with Pixie the pony. And I would end every fake sermon, and I did about four of these. I would end it with drink green tea and ride the pony. That I was hilarious. You know, I was acing all my 101 and 201 courses. So not only was I hilarious, I was also a genius. And this hilarious genius only seemed to have one flaw, not a flaw that bothered me too much, but I only seemed to have one flaw, and that was that I couldn't maintain human relationships very long. Yeah, I had some from friendships. I couldn't maintain a romantic relationship. You know, in order to maintain a romantic relationship for many months on end, and especially to maintain one for many years on end, it certainly requires some level of self-denial, some level of self-sacrifice, and some level of putting someone else's needs above your own. All these things were things that I was not capable of as an atheist. You know, throughout my atheism, I joined Secular Student Alliance, and we were going to promote atheism because that was important in this purposeless world for some reason or another. As we fast forward through my college years, in my senior year, I was no longer an activist for atheism. Instead, I was advancing the cause of liberty, and I discussed the importance of the philosophy of liberty and how important it is for us to be able to be free to make our own decisions, and preached on the non-intervention principle and all that, right? But at the end of the day, the non-intervention principle, liberty, I don't care what your political philosophy is. Ultimately, if people do not value other people on a level somewhat similar to how they value themselves, or as Jesus says, to love your neighbor as yourself, the rest of this is pointless. No political philosophy will ever save us if we ultimately just hate each other, and all we hear is hatred and drivel and animosity on all sides. All political solutions are pointless if the spirituality of the populace is dead. If our culture is in decay, then the politics is irrelevant. Fast forward through my time in college, and at one point I was out doing an event with this organization, Young Americans for Liberty, and during this event, a psychology professor, he came up to me, and we were talking, and I was talking about how important liberty was, and I was making it sound kind of spiritual, I suppose, because at one point he took me back a little bit. He said, "Are you spiritual?" "Of course not. I'm a rational atheist," I thought. And I said something quite similar. Days later, I was talking to the psychology professor's son. He handed me a book by William Joseph Bray. That's the pen name. The book, Quantum Physics, Near-Death Experiences, Eternal Consciousness, Religion, and the Human Soul. Now, the title of that book and the contents of it, while relevant to the title, are ultimately not relevant to the testimony. That's just one thing that God used to open my eyes, to unveil my eyes so that I could see and understand Christianity at least enough to make the decision to call Christ Lord. With every conversion story, there's initially a catalyst. You know, there's something which makes someone open to a philosophy that they were otherwise closed to. That catalyst is not what changes the person. Sometimes it can be months of exploration. Sometimes it can be over a year of exploration. I'd say from the point of me coming across this book to really committing to Christ, it was many months, and I've had in and outs with the faith since then. I've been extremely committed to Christianity for me. Since 2021, when it became obvious that human evil was a rampant part of the world, that people would want to deny other people access to groceries based off of their healthcare decisions, it was clear to me that evil is present, evil is active, and only Christ can save us. And I don't think I'm alone in this. Barna research shows that millennial church attendance has nearly doubled since 2019, I think that this generation is seeing the spiritual war actively taking place within our world. And the Christian worldview better represents witnessing this spiritual war than a philosophy which says that we are merely mushy robots. Scientism would claim that we are. Stephen Hawking said as much. Whenever Stephen Hawking wrote in The Grand Design that all our decisions are a result of purely biological, natural processes, that there is no external soul, mind, which is making its own decisions. It's all essentially, in scientism, a mass domino effect. Nonetheless, the reality which we witness and experience and our desire for purpose and our passion for meaning, all these things which do not reflect a naturalistic domino effect, they do go well in line with the Christian worldview whenever Paul writes that we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the principalities, powers in the heavenly places, in the heavenly realm. Thanks for joining me thus far. So in my testimony and the radical change of my life can be reflected in many, many different ways. Whenever I was an atheist, I didn't give to charity. Of course, now I do. Of course, now I believe in God, right? That's an obvious thing. I believe that Jesus is the Son of God. God became flesh, dwelt among us, took on pain and suffering whenever he could have lived a glamorous life, instead took on pain, suffering for our sins. In our suffering, he knows about it. He can relate, right? My testimony is just one of 33, now 34 testimonies featured on this channel of people who were once atheists, then became Christians after following the evidence. There's always that catalyst that points them in the right direction, but it's never us. It's all the Lord's handiwork. The Lord had our salvation planned the whole time we denied him. Christ is king and every knee will bow. Absolutely.